Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Andy Edwards. Now, I don't normally say that at the beginning of a video, but I have today because there might be some new viewers here watching. There might be an influx of new people, as well as the usual lot, and you know who you are. There could well be some new ones here because yesterday my interview with Rick Beato premiered on his channel. And so this little channel with its 60,000 subscribers was suddenly exposed to the big wide world. And suddenly all and sundry were hearing about me and what I do here and our little collection of viewers who, support me. And it was lovely to see you supporting me in the comments for the video as well. I appreciated that very much. So I thought what I do is I do some sort of reaction video just so that if anybody has wandered across from Rick Beato's huge, YouTube channel, they wandered across and they, well, I've subscribed. Obviously the algorithm's going to show them this video. And I'm going to try and join it all a bit together because they'll be like,
well, I came from Rick Beato because I subscribed yesterday. There's the Andy Edwards. I remember subscribing to him.
And so, you're here. And so I thought what I'm going to do is just basically just lay a few ground rules, tell you what's what, welcome you to the fold. Right. And although there was overwhelming positive comments full of love and happiness in the Rick Beato comment list, there was a few negative ones, so I will challenge those as well. But really, this video has got no real raison d'etre, excuse my French, because it's just here to basically capitalise on my appearance on Rick Beato, which for me is like not only a landmark in this channel, but is also a landmark in my life. I feel that I have sacrificed myself for music for most of my life. I have pushed my considerable nose to the grindstone and given my all to this wonderful thing called music, and it has paid me back in many ways, although I would not say financial ways, but in many other ways, friendship and experiences and all sorts of things like that. It's been a wonderful life. I've had a wonderful life, but to in my later years get to appear on such a prestigious, a wonderful music channel as Rick Beato has been, it's made it all worthwhile. And sorry, I've got a sneeze coming on, got a bit of a cold. Anyway, shall we just get straight in? I would like to thank Rick for having me on. It is true, I'm not making it up, that when I started YouTubing 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was 22, so 4 years ago now, this April-ish would be the 4th anniversary of my channel, Rick, more than anybody else, was an inspiration. And I'm not talking about somebody that just, I go, Rick really inspires me. No, it would be like I think, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And how shall I approach this? And how shall I approach that? And then I go to Rick and not just copy him, but go, I see what you're doing, Rick. I get it. Oh, I see that, Yeah, I don't want to, I could have called my channel in the early days Top 10 Prog, because that's what it was, but I would be hemmed into being a Top 10 Prog channel. Rick really inspired me to not just name it after me. I mean, my channel was already named after me because it originally was set up just to sort of showcase my drum videos, but I didn't change the name of it because I realized that what Rick did is he is continually working off his inspiration. So he wakes up in the morning and he goes, right, I feel like doing this. And for me, that is a dream come true. To be able to wake up in the morning, as I did this morning, and thought, I really want to thank Rick for having me on the channel. And I've been so excited waiting for that interview to come out. I've been so excited with everything that led up to that. I didn't want to give it away too much, you know. I didn't want to say we did this and talked about this. So I've been really, really excited about it. But the viewers of my channel knew that I'd done it, so they've been waiting for it as well. It's a really big moment for anybody that has followed the channel from, you know, day one, because I know what I do is quite strange, and I know that it's got stranger. Now, why has it got stranger? Because of the hardcore viewers. I've done what I think you like, and you have reciprocated it by liking it. And I always say this, that my viewers are the best viewers. My patrons are the best patrons. The members, every time I interact with them, they are clever and funny, and they know about music, and they're not stuck in listening to one style of music. They're a wonderful lot. So I want to thank you for getting me to this point. And I'm sure, I'm not sure, but I hope you felt it was vindication for you lot as well as me. For those of you stuck by me going, yeah, there's something about Andy. I know the quality's rubbish and he keeps going wrong, but there is something I like about this. And I wouldn't have kept going if that hadn't been the case. I would have stopped. And so the journey from going from a music lecturer that I lost my job, my style of teaching didn't seem to sit with the new world that we live in, and that created a great sort of angst within me. Also, I felt old, I felt pasty, you know, as a drummer. I knew I was a pretty good drummer, but as I got older, the sort of high-powered chops approach that I'd done as a professional drummer, it was harder and harder for me to do. There's a whole bunch. See, there's reasons why my channel is like it is, okay? And when I woke up, I thought, I want to thank Rick, and that's what I'm doing here. But anyone who knows my channel, I haven't got anything planned. And what I'm very aware of here is what I'm doing on this one is I started up with a bit of shtick at the beginning, but really I'm talking to you as Andy Edwards, the person, rather than Andy Edwards, the YouTuber. Because I suppose what I did on Rick's interview was Andy Edwards, the YouTuber. I was terrified in there. It's like it's a lot of pressure to go into that. Not so much because of performance anxiety. I'm too old to suffer with that. But just the thing of going, oh my God, I'm sat in a chair. Rick Beato's there. He's talking to me. All the lights are on me. And we're doing a Rick Beato video. It's like, what the hell's going on? It's like, and so the whole time you're having that sort of, you're looking at yourself going, I'm doing this right now, you know. So trying to negotiate my way through that interview and try and give a taste of everything I do in the one interview, and I thought I'd messed it up, to be honest. But I have to say, every contact I've had with Rick, this guy is like the Orson Welles of music YouTubing. He's like the Citizen Kane of music YouTubing. And there's just so much to learn. So what I think I'm going to do on this video, as a thank you to Rick, is explain the process for that interview coming about. And then some of the comments that were in the actual video, especially some of the negative ones, I might try and explain myself a little bit here with a more serious tone. So my channel started up because of COVID and being bored, and I explained all that in the interview with Rick, so I don't need to go into that, you know. And then your channel starts to get up and you're doing it because it's interesting and it's different, and then suddenly it monetizes, you know, and you look and you go, oh, I made £2.50 this month, and that's interesting that you could make money out of it. And then suddenly the money starts creeping up, and then you start to go, oh, that video did well, I might do more like that. Or I wonder if it's because I was acting like that in that video, maybe that's why it did well. So you start to do that and the money starts to go up. And eventually I'd lost my job and I was in a bit of a dodgy place. You know, I was making a living through teaching drums a little bit, doing a few gigs. and the money starts coming up, and you can't help but follow where the money is. Now, I have a very strong belief that all the great art forms start because there's money there. Money, I believe, in terms of the arts, I know this will be counterintuitive to many people, but money can often promote excellence within the arts, because when there's money there, there's a fight and everybody wants to get there. So you're up against other people and you've got to beat them, you've got to be better than them. But the thing is with music or any art form is nobody quite knows what better is. So we don't know what it is, but we know that being excellent will result in more views. Now, what do more views mean? More views mean that people are engaging. So if you're a creative person, you want to do something in the world, you want to communicate to other people. And when it does land, when you do communicate to other people on whatever level that is, it responds with other people. Now, far more than the views, for me, it's a daily routine now. And many people say you shouldn't do this, but it's a daily routine is that I sit down at the end of the day and I go through the comments. I go through the negative comments and I go through the positive comments. And I also try and make the comments an extension of the nature of that video. So if it's a comedy video, I'm going to be doing more comic-like answers and engagement. And I know the viewers enjoy that. And if we do get into a little bit of a conversation, there's some repartee, I know they enjoy that. So that sort of drove the channel towards where it was. I had no idea that I was going to be doing comedy or wearing wigs or being controversial or, upsetting people and all this stuff. I didn't know that that's what I was going to be doing. That has come about because I wanted to get engaged. Now, some people will criticize that and say, well, that's clickbait and blah, blah. And I don't accept that because I've worked in this industry for 30, 40 years. I've never known any style of music, type of music, where the ultimate goal of that, however esoteric it is, however, avant-garde jazz it is or way out prog it is, the successful bands engage. They are engaged on a level that goes beyond the mere technique or skill required. It's a human to human aspect. And in analysing that, for many years, and this has grown in me more and more, I've realised that this is actually love. It's the love that you have for your parents and your kids or, your partner or your pets or the landscape or where you live or your country or certain principles, that sort of love that you have, it's like an engagement in the world. And music is almost like that engagement embodied in the most powerful sensory thing there is, which is sound, and sound's the most powerful thing in the whole world. And so engagement to me is really, really important. And engagement doesn't have to be all positive and lovey-dovey. We can have a good row, but the row needs to be done with love. And online, I believe that means it needs to be light and comedic. When I set the channel up, I was going through quite a dark time at that point. And so one of the remedies for me was to get up in the morning and see the funny side of things that seemed quite dark. If I could turn them into something funny. And if anyone's watched Harry Potter, is it the boggart that lives in that wardrobe? And the boggart is this sort of shape-shifting thing that when you open the doors will come out with your worst fears. So you have to look at that, your worst fears, and make it funny. Not try and fight against it, but make it funny. And of course, I believe that anxiety and depression are linked to the creative experience, whether you're a listener and are deeply moved by music, or you're a creator of it. The fact that you may have anxiety and depression, those two things relate, and it's like a remedy. And so I actually came to the channel with quite strong beliefs about what art and music is, but also aware that they were just my beliefs. They weren't written in stone, because part of my worldview for music is that things aren't written in stone. There's a negotiation going on. I think part of the problem with our culture is everybody wants to jump on being on one side of something or the other side of something, and they want it to be then nailed, right? And I don't think it is. I think once you get past sort of quantity, because my basic belief is that as human beings, we perceive the world in one way, which is the world of quantity. and the other way, which is the world of quality. And science and measurement and all that stems from quantity. And quality then goes towards the arts, but it also goes towards morals and things like that. So that negotiation is very important. I never thought this video would be so serious. I do apologise, but it's going where it's going. And a lot of this, I suppose, is motivated by reading the comments on, Rick's video. So what I'm trying to say here is that with the channel, I was chasing those ideas. So although it might seem that I'll do a very serious video, then the next thing I'm doing a comedy video, and then I got wigs on, and then I'm talking about philosophy, it's actually coming from the same place. And I'm quite consciously aware of that. It's like I sort of know what I'm doing when it comes to that, right? I think. Okay. Now, one of the first musicians to sort of interact with me, who was like a famous, monster musician. Of course, the first was Narada Michael Walden. I spoke about that at length, and I want to thank Narada because he was in there first, and he sent so much love back. And I have to say that was really inspiring and motivating to keep going. You see, motivation is very important in life, very important. There's a guitarist called Martin Miller, and he has an incredible YouTube, and he got in touch and I interviewed him and we started chatting. Martin had he hooked up in Berlin, I think, with Rick Beato, and they had a chat, and he mentioned my channel to Rick, and Rick said, yeah, I'm aware of Andy Edwards, and Martin told me this, and I was like, whoa. I was ringing up my friends, Rick's aware of me. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but he's aware of me. And then I did a video on Nuno Betancourt, and he put a little comment up, oh my god, he's watched the video. And there was about a year of this where I had Rick's watching this, he's there, he's watching it. Eventually Rick gets in touch. Now this is the incredible thing. I'm sat at home, I go onto Instagram, there's a message from Rick Beato. You've got to understand what this is like. This is important. I don't want to belittle it. This is important to me. Hi Andy, do you want to have a chat now? So I get onto WhatsApp. Within 20 minutes, I'm chatting to Rick. And we have this conversation about 2 hours long. And when I start to talk to Rick, the connection I had to him as a person was quite incredible. I knew he got my sense of humour. So we were laughing. He was a very funny man. So we were talking about music. But the thing is Rick really loves the music that I love. We are connected in a love of, it's not jazz, it's really hard to describe. It's something that I try and champion on my channel, and it's something that Rick champions on his channel, albeit much more successfully than me. I cannot say how important it is when Rick does, a top 10 and sticks Alan Holdsworth in it, or he decides to do a video on Oscar Peterson and these get seen by millions of people, or people check into his interview with Hiromi, who is one of the greatest musicians on the planet at the moment, and that people are exposed to this. This is so important. It's unbelievably important. And so I felt, chatting to Rick, that there was a lot of quite deep similarities between us, and I'm going to try and explain what I think those are. I don't know if Rick will agree, but I'm a big rock guy. I like metal. I grew up listening to metal. I like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, and I like Van Halen. I love Nuno Betancourt. I like metal. I like rock, and I like a whole bunch of other styles of music. I like funk. I can listen to dance music. I've worked in dance music as a producer, which has been, I've been trying to make pop records and trying to work out what makes a good pop record. So I've got this wider thing. And although I love jazz, I never really engaged in the world of jazz, but the world I did engage with, I mean, I've played every style of music going in my career, blues, folk, I spent 2 years with Robert Plant playing his music, which is his sort of post Led Zepp, North African Americana mix, so I was in there. But the one that resonated me the most was when I was playing progressive rock in the bands IQ and Million and Frost. And then I did sessions with Magenta. And I had a little career in the progressive rock world. And prog, of course, is or was seen as being, sort of a bit of a cheesy or overblown, pretentious form of music. And I was like, no, some of the greatest rock music ever made was made by Pink Floyd and Yes and Genesis and King Crimson and Gentle Giant and Gong, and Can and, Kraftwerk. All these progressive rock bands are ridiculously important. And our cultural critical mainstream is trying to make out that it's all a bit funny, And so I really have a want to champion what I would call progressive music in all its forms, especially prog and jazz rock fusion. And I know Rick's come from the same background. Now, he was a rock producer. And so I felt with Rick, although he was like this jazz professor and he's got all the chops and all this type of stuff, he also had the job of sitting in a studio, producing a band and trying to think, how do I take these songs that these bands have written and how do I package these up so it reaches out into the world? And that makes him quite unique as a jazz guy that could talk to Keith Jarrett on his level. Although, can anyone talk to Keith Jarrett on that level? But also understands that there's an audience out there. And he brings those skills to bear on his channel. But Rick's also got a very incredible talent, which I don't think I've got. Rick will come up with an idea and he'll do it and it'll be massively successful. So he might do What Makes This Song Great. It's massively successful. Then he'll start doing the top 10 guitar intros of all time, massively successful. Then he'll do his take on the Spotify top 10, massively successful. Then he decides to become the most important interviewer of the greatest musicians of the 20th century. And he's built up this, catalogue of incredible interviews, which I believe will go down in history. And also had the wisdom to go to the music producers as well, and bring those two things together and cross-refer between those. Absolutely incredible. 2026, we come around into January, I'm sat there, and this video appears from Rick. Can you name the guitarist from one single note? And I'm there straight off. He pulls me in straight away, and he pulls everybody else in. And then I'm getting messages from other guitarists saying, oh, how did you get Andy? It's like, how does he do this? So although he has this incredible knowledge of virtually every aspect of music, he can also think how to reach out. Now, for me, I have changed what I do on my channel every now and then, but I've had to do it by changing tack and then holding there and just doing video after video until they become successful. And so I find that an incredible skill that Rick's got. That's where I see him as being a little bit different to me. I'm a little bit more English. I'm a little bit more surreal, and I utilize negativity, hate, and all that type of thing. Now, I think Rick gets it, and I think certain people get it, but I do want to try to explain on here what my intention is with this. When I talk music, if somebody was sat in the room playing and they weren't very good, I would say to them, that's rubbish, that is. Well, I wouldn't say that. What I used to do is, in the UK, we have a phrase, I don't know if the rest of the world has it, which is pants. Pants to us are underwear. This confusion actually came up in the interview with Rick, and I knew it would. I tried to bypass it, but it happened. Nothing I could do about it. Anyway, but we will often say here in the UK, pants meaning rubbish or crap. And so I would often, when my students weren't very good, would go up to the whiteboard I had in the classroom as they were playing, and I would draw a big pair of underpants or underwear on there to denote in visual form that this was pants. My students would be very upset about this, but they would know, because I would build up a relationship with them, that if I was saying something wasn't very good, it was because it had to be made good. It didn't mean I didn't think they were good, but it meant they could trust me. I wasn't going to be one of these touchy-feely modern people that you have in education. Was going, it's absolutely wonderful, Johnny. Now, you didn't sing in tune, and you couldn't remember any of the words whatsoever. And I'm afraid, and we'll have to work on this, Johnny, you were the wrong way round. The audience is on the other side, so if you could just turn it around. But apart from that, it was absolutely wonderful. And the fact that you could get up on stage and do this, I could never do that, even though I'm a professional musician. Of course I can, and I'm lying to you through my teeth. I couldn't stick this, and I could see my students at 16 couldn't stick it. And I believe the viewers, or most of the viewers who aren't stupid, right, that they can see it. Right? So when I did the channel, I thought, if I'm going to rave about the bands I like, I love Weather Report, I love Return to Forever, Chick Corea, John McLaughlin, Alan Holdsworth, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, I love Messiaen, I love Stravinsky, I love Gustav Holst, I love John Cage, I love Rainbow and White Snake, I love Anthrax, I love Soundgarden, I love George Clinton, James Brown, Stevie Wonder. My God, I love Stevie Wonder. I love Michael Jackson, right? I love all this stuff. This is the stuff I love. Now, what's the point in me saying that if I can't say I hate Van Morrison, I hate Neil Young, I hate Patti Smith, I hate Velvet Underground? There's two things here that happens. Now, it is only my opinion, right? And this is going to be where we're going with this, because I feel it's the fundamental, once you understand this with my channel, it's the fundamental raison d'etre, excuse my French again, for my channel, which is to try and discuss this. Right? Because people are putting in the comments, well, it's his opinion. There's a difference between opinion and... Yeah, I know. I'm trying to deal with this because this is the fundamental, perhaps the greatest problem philosophically that human beings have had since the history of human beings. The subject-object, dichotomy is perhaps the biggest problem we have, and why we can't negotiate certain morals or politics, because we get stuck on one side of that divide. The answer is in the arts, okay? And so I started off as a painter. I did fine art, I was working on performance art, conceptual art. I bring that to this a little bit, and so I want to get in there, but I'm not writing essays. You have to understand, I'm not here writing essays. I'm not an academic. I'm a rock drummer with a wig on or stupid hat, talking about music, making videos that need to engage. Now, stuff that needs to engage, like film, pictures, sound, that's called art. I'm not saying that this is great art, but I believe YouTube is art. It's an art form. And I believe someone like Rick Beato is, I know it sounds pretentious, but I believe he's an artist in what he's doing. And what he's doing is negotiating what is good. That's fundamentally what art does, in an almost like moral way. Okay? And so, if you get home one night and you switch on the telly and Schindler's List comes on, Schindler's List is an incredible story filmed in a very aesthetic way, and there's a whole bunch of creative choices which informs you about something and tries to make you feel what it was like, not know the facts, right? Because saying 6 million people were killed in the Holocaust does not tell us anything. It's quantity. We now have to know what it feels, and Spielberg's a great artist, and he tries to make you feel it, and then you feel it, and then you have a decision. Now, I believe that feeling you get, that decision you get, is in the truth of what Spielberg's tried to tell and the skill with which he tells it, and then you feel it, and that reality of your feeling is objective. And it's objective because we can predict in someone else the same feeling. And I think you cannot make art unless you believe that what you're doing and the feeling you're trying to instill that you could feel when you're making it is the same feeling that is going to be hopefully received, if you're skillful enough, in the person that you're engaging with. Okay? So when you're making a piece of art, you're engaging and you're trying to create that thing between someone, and that empathic sort of negotiation between human beings is what art is. I would describe as love. That's what it is. And so I want you to understand that it's love that you're reaching out to the world. Okay, so say I now come online and say, I hate Van Morrison, he makes me vomit, blah, 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 like this. And someone else says, oh, well, I love him. Right, they really do love him. So there's a difference there. Okay, so we've now gone, there's two things here. There is the idea that people have an objective reaction to art, but they don't fully have an objective reaction, do they? Because we're actually different as well. And neither of those are correct or incorrect. This is what's really important. And I think the cultural problems we have at the moment is that people want them to be black or white. Whether it's politically, aesthetically, morally, whatever it is, they want it to be black or white. Aesthetically, in music, for example, the idea that things should be perfect is absolute at the moment. People really find it hard to tolerate with mistakes. They just can't deal with it. The artists feel, and it's almost like there's an anxiety within the artists. They've lost their position because they are too frightened to expose themselves to say, yeah, I know, I'm not perfect. They don't want to do that. And so I think that's creating a crisis amongst artists. This goes on and on. This is what I'm trying to deal with on my channel. So I come out and say, I hate. Now I do. I really hate Van Morrison. And then on top of that, I met Van Morrison and I thought he was a bit grumpy, to be honest. He was a bit grumpy and I don't like his music. Now, there's two things here. Once I set that up, people start to challenge and a dialogue goes on and you'll go getting all angry, right, with me. But if we could actually go, I don't agree with Andy, but I'm enjoying the way he's having a go at Van Morrison. I'm finding it quite funny. So you love him, but you'll have to temper what you think. Go, yeah, I do love him, but that was quite funny what Andy said. There are a whole bunch of people that are like that. And in the comments, they go, I love Van Morrison, but that was quite funny. So I have been able to find the yang in the yin of Van Morrison. I've been able to go, yeah, it's all, you think it's great, but what about that? But by the same token, when I do it, and I start to expand on this over videos, I have to keep going back to Van Morrison, right? Now, I have to be honest that there's a Van Morrison album I really love. It's the one that's got Dexy's Midnight Runners covered the track. You can all put it in the comments. See, this is another thing, you see. When my videos aren't planned, and I have got quite an encyclopedic knowledge of music history, but sometimes I can't remember stuff, and I used to edit that, but I don't now because you can now engage. So my failure as a human being here means that you could go, that will be that album, and it's something called like, it's not Saint Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, it's not that, that's a Frank Zappa track, but there's an incredible album that Van did around about 1976. He sat outside the gates of something, and it's got I think it's the Jackie Wilson Said tune. It's that one. Let it all hang out. It's that one is on there. Beautiful. I love that tune. And I love it. His voice is so I wouldn't have discovered that Van Morrison album if I hadn't hated Van Morrison and got to a point where I'm going to really explore the catalogue. Okay? And so here's another thing. I could change my mind. So on my channel, I will change my mind, and people will watch it and go, Andy's changed their mind about that. I changed my mind about ELP. When I started up, I loved progressive rock, but I wasn't a fan of ELP. And then, people can follow this through on the channel. That's when I did the 20 greatest progressive rock bands, I forgot to put ELP on because I don't like them. And then when I realised that, I realised it in the video. And then that made me reassess ELP, went back and listened to them again. And then as an older guy, I started to pull out what I loved about them. Same with this band, Queen. I've got a lot more love for Queen. I did a deep dive into them. So this shows that there's two things going on here. We can change our minds, right? We should try to see people's other points of view. And the way to do that is to see in the humour. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you're in a serious place. Politically, right, I find that on both political extremes, there is a certain a certain intolerance to anything that doesn't line up with these people. You always get these with the extremes. Most of us are in the middle politically. I have gone towards politics. I will keep stirring that pot, even though those types will go, I won't watch you, Andy, if you do that. Right? I won't watch you. And I feel like these people need to wind it in. Okay? They are not so morally superior that they should be acted like this, because I don't think I'm that morally superior. And then when you start to engage with that, you change your mind. So doing the YouTube channel and engaging with so many people and actually having intelligent, positive discussions with people on the other political side, I've changed my mind. So nobody knows what my political opinions are right now, and they can't gauge them by going in the past, because I'm not a politician. And surely we should all be like that, because that's what democracy is. We should be able to listen to everybody and go, I used to be like that and I'm going to go like that. And we should all be allowed to do it. Nobody should be hating anybody for having any political opinion. But you could root that out by just challenging it in a humorous way. And some people will get it because they're reasonable and liberal and tolerant, and other people can't. Now, that sort of intolerance I hate, and it happens within the realm of art. You can't say that about the band I like, and it's childish. It's absolutely childish. How can you say that? You should not have a YouTube channel because you should have an opinion if you don't like. If you don't like what I like, and this is childish. It's intolerant. It's illiberal, and I'm afraid I do poke that button, right? And I do get hate, and within all the love, and this is what us creative people are like. With all the love that I experienced last night, with all those lovely comments from my lovely viewers who were chiming in saying, I love Andy, can't believe he's on Rick Beato. They were like, oh my God, what's he doing on there? People thought it was fake. They thought it was a green screen. And then Rick's fans going, oh, check that guy. He sounds really interesting. And people going, Rick's fans watching it and go, that was actually really interesting. I had a lot of people message me going, you and Rick were great. It was a good interview. I'm not Pat Metheny or Keith Jarrett, so it's not like everyone's going to pour, because he's announced Andy Edwards is on his channel. But those who did watch it enjoyed it, and I watched it again, and I enjoyed it. I like the fact that I made Rick laugh. I like the fact that we were rowing like, two old ladies at certain points, that I was talking over him. There was like a disrespect and respect. All this. I loved it, beautifully shot. I looked good on it because he knows how to. I look better on there because that's the quality of his minions that do all the bloody camera work and lighting. I had quite a good strong jaw, and I have to give a shout out to my hairdresser Jane Bunny, or Jane Scissormeister Bunny, who had cut my hair specifically for that video, and that haircut's now been seen by hundreds of thousands of people, Jane, and I'll have to let you know that, because you probably don't realise that's what's happened. But I thought my hair looked very nice on that video. Today, it's not quite as good, as you could see, so I put a hat on to go and see Jane again. These are all the things, right? So in that point of love, I have to be honest, I have to go to... I went to bed, as us creative people are, with the one comment that I'd read. And it was something like, I can't believe you've had this guy on, Rick. He's a fascist. Heil Hitler! I've been found out! The man knows! I want to find up all the Van Morrisons! I want to put some against the wall and shoot them. Now, this is called humour, this is. Right now, if that bloke thinks I'm a fascist, I'm not. This is how bonkers YouTube is. That bloke had a different political opinion to me. He said he liked something I don't like. He's a fascist. Right, that will be the undoing of Western liberal democracy. Right? That is the truth. That's the truth. And anyone who says I can't talk about this on my channel, do you realise how hard it just decapitates music? Because the power that art has, you diminish by going, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, you shouldn't go there. So I shouldn't say I hate anything. I shouldn't say that's the worst thing. I shouldn't mention politics in any way. I shouldn't do this. Who are these shouldn't people? The shouldn't people. Who are the shouldn't people? You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Why? I don't like it. I don't like it. People should do it my way. And no, not any other way. They should be doing it my way. So this is what you're going to get with me. If you like that and you agree with that, right, then come aboard. But if you don't, right, when somebody as a kid would turn around to me and argue about something, maybe, you know, it's like, because like the other one's religion, isn't it? My religious views have changed over the last 3 or 4 years. And I don't want to get into that here. But if somebody comes with me and they didn't agree with my religious beliefs, and I was an atheist for many, many years, a hardcore, hardline, I'm going to go and argue with the Christians type of atheist. And I've changed. I have changed now. And I feel that's a really good thing to be able to do. And the conversations I've had, which you could say about religion or you could say it's metaphysics, I think are really important. Being able to discuss politics is really important, right? And when these people, these intolerant people, are the same people that will get upset when you criticise their ballot. It's a certain type of person. Now, we need them. The reason why we need them is because they are very rule-based. They don't like anything coming in. It's like, in the same way they don't like other ideas, they see almost like a pollution to the purity, their own purity. This is where the left and the right unite. It's in that area. It's all about purity. One of them, you know, it will be national purity or racial purity, and we know where that ends. The other one will be this sort of moral purity of equity. The whole point about music is a negotiation, and on my channel what I'm trying to do over a number of videos is explore those ideas, open up that discussion, and try and talk about something which I don't think many people are actually talking about. And I'm going to try and finish up the video with coming up with the central thesis that's behind this channel. What is good and what is bad? What is right and what is wrong? When a musician's trying to create a bass line and they write and they're trying to, and then that's really good, dude. Yeah, I thought that was good. Right, we can say that bass line's really good. What does that mean? Well, the mechanism of working out what is good is actually inherent in the music. It's there for you. You just saw it because you cannot verbalize it. Okay? But the reality of that thing of it suddenly heating up. Whoa. Oh my God, did you feel that? Yeah. But you could also say that bass line's just right. It's just right. Now, as soon as you say that, a moral thing comes in, but the morality starts to creep in within aesthetics. So, in some way, when we do art, we're not dealing with quantity. We're not trying to work out how far the sun is away from the earth, you know, or what the speed of light is, or all the bloody Einstein equations that work out all these incredible things about the world around us. And it's quite profound what quantity can tell us when you get so deep into quantity. But quality is equal. And in our post-industrial sort of world that we live in, we diminished the questions about quality, and we came up with a sort of postmodernist idea that quality was entirely subjective, not only subjective but culturally constructed. Okay, now there's some truth to that idea, and the great postmodernist philosophers said some very powerful things and have actually influenced me greatly, because I was influenced by them from when I was at art college up to now. But they're not 100% right. They're absolutely not 100% right. And they're those ideas that have become so embedded and now messing up with our ability to judge what's good and what's not. The negotiation of what is good or right in aesthetic terms, I believe, is the negotiation between hedonism and perfectionism. Now, this is a very old idea of what art is philosophically and aesthetically, but I believe that that's the case, is that when a musician is trying to make that bass line right, they're trying to negotiate something where the bass line's on the grid and you've got the right notes and it's been played in a perfect way, right? But also has anomalies in it that make it feel emotional and speaks to us, okay? Now, within the arts relate to the culture within which the arts reside. This is what I believe. So, when Hendrix gets up on stage at Woodstock and he does the Star Spangled Banner, that is so much about expression. It's so far away from the grid, from perfectionism. It's not the perfect rendition at all. That is art negotiating what is great, and it's really over on the side of hedonism, expressionism, and there's an emotional surge there. And for some people to go, yeah, I mean, it just sounds like noise to me, because it is a scream. It's like a primal scream. There's that aspect of art. On the other side, you could say you've got Kraftwerk emerging a few years later, and there's no consideration of depth or emotional subject matter. They're drum machines. They all look the same. It's all rigid, and everything is absolutely perfect and rigid. It's almost like Platonic music, and that exists over here. And that negotiation goes on like this, and it's related to culture. I believe that with AI emerging, art now has to move back into the human realm, and we need more expression. And things like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, they are all incredible, actually, in expressing imperfection and humanity. And they do all day long. And so art is changing. The nature of art is changing. The old art forms, music, painting, poetry, they exist online, but they have been expanded. They expanded in the 20th century. And on my channel, I try, through music, to explore what happened culturally in the 20th century, and as we exit that, the values that were once really useful, how they're now have atrophied into absolute ideas that we need to escape for us as humanity to go forward, right? So in practical terms, how do you safeguard against AI? You start doing what human beings could do, because we now have a system where AI can copy anything we do, but it can only copy what we do. Okay? And so once we have a distinction between humanity and the values, once we own our human view of the world and stop thinking it as objective or subjective and actually seeing it's both of those at the same time, I am at once the centre of the universe and a speck in the universe, and so are you. And you have to contend with both of those terrifying viewpoints. A musician that dealt with that deeply was Ornette Coleman. It's very esoteric to understand how he was, but he was. And I learned that from listening to Ornette Coleman, that we are at once a speck in the universe and the centre of the universe. And Ornette Coleman placed himself at the centre of the universe. And so everything was out to him. Not out as in not in tune. Everything was from here out. Right? And once you start to think of art like that, it changes your view. And once you can change your view like that, we can go forward as human beings. So what this video has been, and I didn't realise, there's been a statement of intent by me as I reach this landmark in my YouTube channel. This has been a statement of intent. This has been a heavy video. Those who've come over from Beato that has just gone, bloody hell, that was a lot of pretentious nonsense. And I'm with you with that. I am with you. It probably was a bunch of pretentious nonsense in a way. But I have tried to explain where I come from. But if this does sound exciting, then obviously what do you need to do right now? You need to bloody subscribe. Right? That's what you need to do, and try and engage. And I'm going to try and live up to what I've just said, all those highfalutin artistic and creative things, and I hopefully have justified why I might be on here at some point. with a wig on, you know, telling the world how much I hate Aerosmith, who I don't hate, I love actually. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's it. Thanks for all the support for those of you who have supported me over the years, and I welcome all the new people. I mean, when I got up this morning, my subscribers had gone up by 5,000. Now, when you think I normally do 1,000 subscribers every month, I've just done 5 months of subscribers in 6 hours. It was insane. So there's new people here. I thank you all. I love you all. Thank you to Mr. Beato for supporting me, and thank you even more for the friendship and the chats and all the inspiring talk. I cannot tell you. That guy's a special guy, and that's why he is what he is, right? That's why he is what he is. And, you know, these people are important. Treasure them. Treasure everybody. Treasure humanity. Spread love and kindness. Spread love and kindness. And try and do something positive today with your life. How much more positive can I be at the end of the video? Bloody, you know. Don't like having to do this, you know. I don't like having to do all this bloody, you know, touchy-feely, you know, just to get the bloody liberals on side. Why do we have to kowtow to the bloody liberals all the time? Make sure you love everybody. Make sure I'm only doing it to please them, you know, to try and bring them on board. They're going to hate what I'm like, anybody. You know, it's like they're not going to like you hating people, Andy. Come on, let's be serious. They're not going to like it. You can say it's all about love as much as you bloody want. But in the end, as soon as you come out and say you hate somebody, you know, and you hate everybody, think about it. Most music you hate, don't you, Andy? You do. And now they're seeing you talking to yourself. I do talk to myself. It's a bit like bloody Lord of the Rings, isn't it? You are. It's like Gollum when he starts talking to him. It's true, you know, it is true. And then you get, you know, I have to stand here telling you that you think you're all this video is just about you going, I'm so special and full of love, you know, but you're not. Well, I don't care what you say. Well, you should care what I say. Well, I don't care what you say. You know, in the end, a YouTube video isn't any good unless it descends into chaos. You always say this. I believe it. The black tentacles of chaos are always there, ready to pull me down. They're going to pull me down, and you have to be aware of it. You know, you always have to get mad at. Yeah, you have to end up in chaos. You got to have some chaos now. Chaos. The world. Come on, give me some chaos now.
Like someone explode when tanks flood. It's some of this volcano, magma crashing, like destroying the world. I am the great destroyer and the destroyer of infinite people in a phantom rubbish music I say. And I suffer up from below and above, and I create chaos.